Hey, I'm Nico and welcome to another video on this channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to build this exciting slider. If you want to know how to build it, then don't leave and watch what's coming next. Yeah, so in matter of fact, the DOM, it's not that complicated. I've got here 6 images for our slider. So we're going now to build the DOM, and then we'll write some CSS, and after that we're gonna work on the drag and scroll part. I'm going to iterate through my array of pictures. I'll get the URL, and then I am going to create another div, which is going to have a class name of family item, and inside we'll have another div with a class name of family item image, and we are going to pass the URL of the image as an inline URL background image style. So the style of background image, and this is going to be an URL function from CSS with the parameter of URL. Alright, to the CSS file, let's make it 2 rows. As for the family parent, I'm going to place all the images in a line, so display flex, and then maybe I'm going to give a pretty big margin from the top and the bottom, so we would have some white space. And for now, for the family item, I'm going to make the mean width of 50 viewport width, and for the margin left, or for the gutter of the list, I'm giving this arbitrary number of viewport width. And for the first of type, I'm gonna set a margin left to 0. Then for the image family, we want our image, no matter of its size, to be centered and scaled in our component. So background size hover to scale it. We don't need repeat, so repeat. And to center inside, we use background position center. We're gonna use the before with the content. This is a way to make a responsive square or rectangle. Display block with get the width of the family item, and this is doing the magic part in top, and we will make the image quite tall, so maybe at 150% with the pointer event of none. Alright, we need some couple of tweaks. When we hover, I'm gonna pass the cursor to a grab, and since we are going to work with the transform, I'm placing here the default value. Yeah, so we've got, let's inspect. We've got the family, which is a flex container, and then inside we have each item, and they are quite tall, and inside the item we have the content for the image, which has a background image with before. Let's doing this. Alright, so this is the whole part about styling and creating the DOM. Now we'll get to the part about handling the drag and momentum. So the way to make the drag is to listen to the mouse down, mouse leave, mouse up, and mouse move event listeners, and with the help of some states we can know when a user presses and then tries to drag. So let's make some functions. And we need to register this event for our family container. So we're gonna use a React ref object, call it slider, and slider is gonna be const slider, which is a React, and use ref since we are using the function component. And as a way we need to add the event listener, so I'm gonna do it on the first effect, or if you are familiar on mount. So state ref, let's call it, which is React use ref, and we will need a few options. Well, one is as mouse press, which is a default of false. The other one is starting position, x position. This position will need to be known when after user drag on the next drag to set the initial position. The transform amount, the velocity is for momentum when the user stops dragging, and this is for an ID of request animation, even though I'm not sure if we really need to put in the ref. So on mouse down, we are going to set has mouse pressed true. So we state ref current that has mouse press equals true, and we are going to update the start x position. State ref current start x position, which is going to be so we get an event. So which is going to be the current scroll position of the scroll minus how much we scroll. So let's scroll this state ref, that current, transform amount, and for mouse leave we're gonna have a stat ref of current as mouse presses false, and for MouseUp again, and for mouse move we'll check for one thing. If we don't have a mouse press, then we don't need to do something. So if we don't have as mouse press, then just return. So the next step is to translate the slider according to the amount the user translates. So again we have the event here. I'm gonna take the scroll position, yeah, page X, and then we're gonna calculate the distance, how much the user scrolled. So it's gonna be the current minus what he already had done. So it's other scroll state ref dot current dot start X position. So it's a function clump that's gonna get value and a boundary, which is a lower and upper bound. And if value is bigger than upper, then return upper. If value is lower than lower, then return lower, and otherwise return value. So now we have to clump the distance. So clump distance, which we'll call clump and distance, and we'll get the lower. It's going to be the whole size of the scroll, which is slider minus current scroll width, and we will add the viewport size. We'll have the negative value of the size of the whole slider, and we'll add the slider current client width, and this will give, and the lower boundary is 0, as we don't want to go less than 0. And so now we can set the transformed amount, state ref transform amount, which is the clump distance. As well, we can now update the transform of the slider. So slider current style transform equals to translate 3D, and for the X is clump distance pixels and 0 pixels, 0 pixels, and we should plus here. Let's see if this should work. Let's see if this works. And now we have we can't scroll far more than the boundary to the left and more than the boundary to the right. Amazing. We have now a slider that's scrolling on mouse drag. What is left to do is to add the momentum. So depending on the how much the user scrolls, we would have the momentum. So when the user will stop dragging, we'll add this momentum so that we have this nice cute little feature. So for this we'll need a couple of things. For cancel, we'll cancel the animation frame. So cancel animation frame. For the state ref current dot request animation ID, yeah. And for the begin moment tracking, we have first of all we'll need to cancel the other momentum if it's happening. So cancel momentum. Yeah, we have here a typo. And then we will need to start again the momentum, the another one. So start state ref. Request animation ID is request animation, and we'll build the function. And for momentum loop, and we'll call the begin moment tracking when the user stops, actually when the user's mouse is released from drag. So here also when the users has a press down, we'll cancel the other already happening momentum tracking. So cancel momentum tracking. Another one we need to change here is the velocity. So on the ref, state ref current velocity. So we need state ref dot current dot transform amount minus the clamp distance. All right, and for the momentum loop, we'll have the value scroll state ref transform amount minus other ref dot current dot velocity, and again we'll need to clamp the distance. We don't want it to get over the boundaries, which is value. And again we get the slider current scroll width plus slider current line width and 0. We set the transform amount. Scroll state transform amount. Transform amount, which is the clamped distance, and for the and we need to set the translation. So we slider dot current dot style dot transform is translate pt clamped distance pixels 0 pixels 0 pixels 0. We need to call this function again unless it's reaching to a step. So if we scroll and we stop, then the slider should scroll further, but for after some time it should stop. And that's why we need to multiply the velocity. So it's a state ref current velocity. We need to multiply it by delta, which is going to be a 0.9. Otherwise, if we multiply it by 1, it's going to be the same. So we need like a small delta so that each time it would slow down. And we need to take the absolute value of the velocity, since it can go minus or plus. It depends on the direction. So not absolute state ref velocity, and it should be bigger than 0.1. And if it is, we will run again this function. Request animation, which is the request animation frame, and again momentum loop. This is basically this function. So in few words, we get the amount the user scrolls, we clamp it, we set the transform amount, since we also need to take the account the momentum. We set the style of the transform, and then we multiply the velocity to a small delta, so the velocity will get smaller. And we'll call this momentum loop all over again until velocity gets or is smaller or it's equal to 0.1. This should be it. Let's see what we got. Yeah, seems like it needs a refresh. So let's close the inspector, and yeah, as you can see, if you try to scroll faster, it will have a bigger momentum, and if you just scroll for a little bit, it will have a smaller momentum because of the scroll amount. Yeah, so that's basically it. Please, if you have any suggestions or any feedback, write it down below. Maybe if you are new to the channel, please subscribe, like, comment, and share with your community, with your friends. And this was Niku. I'll talk to you to the next one.